Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Hey everyone, welcome to Garden Fork Radio. You're here with Rick and Eric.
Good morning, Eric. How are you, my friend? It's a wet and rainy day here in Margaritaville North.
Yeah, we have 2 inches of wet snow on the ground already.
Yeah, I guess we ought to tell people this is a do-over.
Yeah.
I was out of town about a week ago now. I was down in Florida. The She Who Must Be Obeyed and I were visiting my brother and sister-in-law down in Venice. And we tried to do a remote. We thought we kind of had it in the can, but it didn't work out.
Yeah, there was a lot of background noise, and I just didn't think the quality was quite there. So, I mean, the quality of conversation was fine. So,
Well, which was the first for us.
So today we are going to talk about eggs, and we're going to talk about Rick's trip and some camera tips he has. And also we're going to talk about, we answer some Thanksgiving emergency questions, everybody. So welcome.
Oh, okay. Well, I see you sent me this great article from New York Times about eggs.
Everyone, I'm a big fan of the New York Times, and they have a column called Well, W-E-L-L, on their website. They also have a really good iPad app. I'm a paid subscriber with the iPad app. And those of us of a certain generation, it was always kind of drilled into our heads that eggs were unhealthy and they would cause heart attacks. And now they're finding that, it's okay to eat eggs.
Really? That's great.
And the American Heart Association has looked at clinical studies, and now and I'm quoting here, the American Heart Association no longer condemns eggs in its guidelines. It recommends that people limit themselves to 300 milligrams of cholesterol daily, and a single egg has 200 milligrams, as well as a mix of saturated and unsaturated fats, including the monosaturated kind found in olive oil. So olive oil is good for you.
Right.
And eggs are good for you.
That's terrific. I love eggs in all their forms. We're eating a lot less meat, particularly red meat here at the house, but we do keep like a dozen eggs boiled, hard boiled in the refrigerator, and we'll add them to salads and all kinds of side dishes just to add a little more protein to them.
Yeah, they quote Dr. who is from the Harvard School of Public Health. I might be saying his name wrong there. Eggs are a particularly good replacement for less healthful fare like processed meats and refined carbohydrates. So instead of maybe that processed meat, like what would that be, like pre-processed?
Well,
bologna?
It could be almost anything. Ham. It could be bacon. It could be hot dogs.
There you go. Well, refined carbohydrates, which sounds like white bread, to me.
Yes, it does.
Okay. The study suggests that for most people, starting your day with a breakfast of scrambled eggs will have a better impact on your overall cholesterol profile than a bagel or a bowl of sugary cereal. There you go.
Do you know that drinking 20 ounces of regular soda, not diet soda, but sugared soda, a day will age your cells by 4.6 years?
It wouldn't surprise me.
It shortens the telomeres. I've got a study here. I'll send it to you. Their telomeres are the part of the reproductive part of cells that determine how long cells live. And it turns out it looks like all the sugar in regular soda is actually aging the cells.
There's just so much sugar in there.
Yeah.
That's not to say that the fake sugar is any better.
No, we have just about given up all of the diet sodas and regular sodas, all that stuff. It's water and tea and coffee, and the more coffee the better.
I've been having oatmeal for breakfast. I love bagels, and I live in Bagel Central, of course.
Yeah.
But I'm having oatmeal, or I'll have some eggs, and a lot of times we have eggs for dinner also. If I'm having a salad, we have salad every night, but I will throw a poached egg in the salad, or I'll hard boil some eggs and put them in the salad. And we have a couple of salad recipes, video recipes that use eggs, and we'll link to those in the show notes here.
Well, now, you live in a fairly heavily Hispanic area of Brooklyn, don't you?
Yes. Yep.
Do you ever go out for breakfast tacos?
No, the places around me don't open for breakfast. There's
Oh,
only a diner that opens.
no, well, that's too bad.
Oh,
We do a lot of breakfast tacos around here. Fry up some eggs, a little bit of, well, usually a piece of bacon in a tortilla, soft tortilla, lots of jalapenos on top, some cilantro. Just wonderful meal there.
and that'll get you going. So
Yeah.
there you go. Eggs are good for you. I also, if I just need a snack in the afternoon, if I have hard-boiled eggs, I'll just eat an egg. It keeps you from eating a piece of cake, you know?
Oh yeah, and lots of times I've been eating a lot, just like a handful, maybe 10 or 15 almonds, unsalted, unsugared, just plain almonds.
Yeah.
Good source of protein that'll kind of keep you from getting too hungry as well.
We have a lot of dried fruits and nuts in the house. I eat a lot of dates and dried figs and things like that because if I have cookies in the house, I'll just eat them.
Oh, the secret to most of that stuff, it's only taken us nearly 40 years of marriage to find this out, is don't bring them home.
Yep.
If you don't bring them home, you won't eat them.
We're going to call this the Thanksgiving Self-Help Show. Welcome, everyone. Hey, by the way, I want to hear about other podcasts you guys listen to because in the YouTube world, I go to these workshops and they're always talking about collaborating with other YouTube channels to spread your word about your show. And I thought, well, I could do the same thing with podcasts. We could find other podcasts that people like and we could kind of grow both audiences that way.
Sure, kind of pollinate from one side to the other.
Yeah. There are a couple of new podcasts I'm listening to, which we will talk about next week. But we have to get on to Rick's camera. We'll just call it a camera adventure. And then we are going to answer some common Thanksgiving crisis questions.
Well, now, the first thing you have to know about Rick is that if there are no pictures, Rick didn't go.
Yeah.
Okay? That's just the way life is for me. If there are no pictures, there's no video. I wasn't there. And so it was particularly devastating. We were down around Venice. We went over to Orlando and toured the new Harry Potter thing, which they've opened up a whole new side of the Universal Studios Harry Potter Wizarding World of Harry Potter section. And we went to go see it. And even if you're not a fan of the books, if you're a fan of the maker movement, if you're a fan of Adam Savage from MythBusters and his recreation of all the sci-fi stuff and how he does that stuff, and he has a great podcast called Tested, which is the video side, and then he has Still Untested, which is a podcast.
Yeah, he has audio podcasts I've listened to.
Right, where they talk about a lot of this stuff. You just go and watch how they've done this, how they kind of make that magic and they do these things. And, I just find it fascinating. So I'm over there. She Who Must Be Obeyed and I are over there touring around. And I didn't prepare. I did not take this seriously. When we take a regular big trip, we went to the Med. That was the biggest trip we've ever had in our lives a year or so ago. I planned scrupulously. It was an amazing thing in camera management and camera card management. Of course, I didn't have film. I'm using SD cards, little chips that you put in your camera now for digital. Mm-hmm. And I planned backups and we carried them separately so that if I fell off a bridge or something and drowned and they didn't recover the body, Gail would still have half the pictures, And we really worked hard at this. Well, I did not take this trip seriously at all from a camera standpoint. And I slammed one big 64 gigabyte chip into my Canon 70D single lens reflex digital camera. And we went and I shot 32 gigabytes of video and photos. And the entire time, if you're a photographer, you know how this goes. The entire time you're shooting, you're planning. When I lay this out, when I show these, this is how it's going to look, and I'm going to present them in such a way, and I'm telling this kind of story, and the entire thing. You had it laid out in your mind, the entire how it's going to work. And I got to talking to someone, and I have this really bad habit of um, I needed to check. I'd shot a very long video. The digital SLRs now shoot both video and pictures. And I'd shot a very long video, and I wanted to see how much was left on the card. And you really can't tell that from looking at the top. You have to kind of flip it open. And I looked at the page on the setup that said format, and it has a little gas gauge meter. And while I was talking to someone and I was distracted, I hit the format OK button, and I wiped out 32 gigabytes of about 3 days worth of shooting. And I was just heartsick. And it wasn't just high level format. This was low level, completely gone. So I enlisted the help of one of the Garden Fork listeners, Kevin. We know him as Little Black Dog. I think a lot of people do here. And we worked on it some, and it's completely gone unless I want to spend an inordinate amount of money sending it to a data recovery firm to recover it. And it'll cost almost as much to go back and redo the trip. And I'd rather do that than to pay them to recover it, I think. But it just shows that you know with these digital cameras, you've got to really take every piece of it. If you take photography seriously, you've got to take every step of it and every trip very seriously.
Yeah, I actually shoot with smaller cards usually.
Well, and that's what I did when we were in Europe. I used 16 gigabyte cards, and I had one card per day, and I was religious about taking it out of the camera and storing the card. But this 64 gigabyte card was a good deal faster in how fast it wrote. Right. Because they're getting faster all the time now as new cards come out. And so it writes video a lot faster, and it doesn't stumble, which some of the older cards do. And so I just slammed it into the computer, or into the well, it is a computer, camera, and didn't give it a second thought. And I am just about ready to kill myself with a rock.
Okay, well, don't do that, because then I have to find another co-host.
So if you can't be a good example to someone, at least you can be a horrible warning.
Hey, you told me that you got my email about the Garden Fork Cookbook gift guide.
I did, and you got some great stuff in there.
I just decided. I mean, I have way too many cookbooks, but I realized there's a lot of them I don't use anymore, so I've been giving them away and stuff. And I wanted to share with people if they have a significant other that cooks or they want to buy themselves a book. Here's some of the things that I use. It's kind of inside Eric's head. Right. And you can either go to your independent bookstore, and I provided a link in the email to do that, or if you click on the Amazon or Barnes & Noble link, yes, we get a little finder's fee for that. But it was interesting because I tried to embed a link to go to the independent bookstores. They have a site called IndieBound, and I couldn't get it to work. But you can go to indiebound.com, and you can order popular books from a nearby bookstore, and you can either go pick them up or they will ship them to you. So if you don't want to deal with one of the big national books chains, you can order online and still support your local bookstore.
Oh, that's great. You've got some great stuff here. Mark Bittman, the Artisan Bread, the 5 minutes a day. I love that book.
Yeah, and I get so many questions on that, and I have to keep on saying, well, you just go buy the book, okay? Because I can lay out the basics, and they're like, well, what about this? And I'm like, I'm flattered that I get the questions, but I'm also like, it's at some point it's time to step up to the plate and go buy the book.
Well, and you kind of learn a lot just by getting the book and going through it. And of course, you've been talking about pressure cookers a lot, and this is pressure cooker season.
Oh yeah, there's a link to Pressure Cooker Perfection, which is America's Test Kitchen. Our cooking geek friends put that out, and I've used that. Those recipes are good, and I've also a lot of times I just riff on it. I'll take their recipe, and it's just a little too perfect for me. So I want to, I'm like, well, I'm going to do it this way instead, and it works out fine. And then there's a link also to the pressure cooker that both Rick and I own.
Yeah, the Fager Fagor pressure cooker series or line. I think they're made in Spain. I'm not sure, but they are just terrific.
And I would suggest not buying the electric kind of pressure cooker because I have a friend who has one and he bought a good one and it is problematic at best. It sounds to me so.
Oh dear.
But anyway, there was just a little thought there, and I'll come out with another gift guide before the holidays, and also we're having a 3 new cast iron seasoning and repair videos are coming out this week.
Yeah, I saw your cornbread cast iron cornbread video that came out. That was terrific.
That's a really good one. That's from last week. I'm going to make that actually today. Actually,
yeah. Well, yeah, we will be making some too. We're talking about Thanksgiving now. So, do you make cornbread dressing, or do you make that abomination white bread dressing?
I don't make any. I don't cook Thanksgiving.
What do you do?
Well, we're the perfect guests. We're child-free adults who will bring liquor to your party. So,
okay.
Or maple syrup or honey. So we actually hop through 2 or 3 Thanksgivings on the holiday. So we stop in and see our neighbors. We stop and see the other neighbors, and then we'll drive a bit and go see our friends. So I eat like 3 times.
Oh, wow. So are you up in Connecticut?
Yeah, we beat out the storm was coming, and we both could telecommute today. We both have a lot of computer work to do. And it's a good thing because there's now 2.5, 3 inches of snow outside, and it's 11:30 on Wednesday morning. So we drove up last night, and the roads were packed. I think everyone else thought, let's leave New York City before the storm. So,
wow. Well, you really didn't get into that business that was all last week. We're reading about the 7 foot of snow around Buffalo, and my ignorance of New York geography is really pretty profound, I guess.
Yeah, there's 2 New Yorks. There's New York City, and then there's New York State, and they're polar opposites in some ways. Mm-hmm. But upstate New York, which is up by the Great Lakes, got whomped. They just got whomped with snow. And they are digging out, but man, that's 6 and 7 foot of snow. I remember that from when I was a kid. That's a lot.
Yes, it is. And I think I'd kill myself with the rock then too.
Yeah. All right, so I have a couple of turkey answers for you here.
Okay.
So this is from.
Are there any questions, or do I make up the questions as we go?
FineCooking.com has a good article on this.
Right.
Top 10 Thanksgiving disasters. But I think I actually did this a couple of years ago, as I didn't realize how long it took to defrost a turkey. I just thought, I'll just defrost it overnight in the fridge. And no, in the fridge, it takes days to do that. So if you're thinking about defrosting a turkey for tomorrow, stop. And put it in either a cooler of cold water or your sink with cold water.
Right.
We've talked about this with how to defrost meat, a nice video we did recently. But cold water will defrost an object much faster than cold air will, because the heat transference happens much better or easier, perhaps, with liquid than it does with air or gas, in other words.
Well, you must have taken a physics course sometime.
Yeah. I actually did take a physics class. Yikes. And I passed. But
yeah.
You can, my suggestion would be to put it in a cooler. Coolers are amazingly thermally insulated. If they keep beer cold, they can keep your turkey cold. But you want to have cold water, which you can change out every hour or so. Or put it in the sink, and that's the best thing. And then tell your friends to come a little later in the day for your turkey.
Right.
And then my other thing was I see a lot of unevenly cooked turkey, and there are a couple of solutions I have for that. Do you have any?
Any solutions for unevenly cooked turkeys?
Yeah.
Well, of course, my solution is to cook it on the grill, so that and cook it slowly.
Yeah.
That's the real solution. And I'm sure that I did a little tutorial that I'm sure is still on the Garden Fork site. If you have a charcoal grill, getting the turkey out of the kitchen makes everything else for the Thanksgiving or holiday cooking so much easier. And it's really easy to go out and every hour add a few briquettes and pop another beer, and you are cooking the turkey. And usually by about the fourth or fifth beer, the turkey is done, and it's very evenly cooked, and it's wonderful.
That's perfect. The whole thing to get it out of the oven, get it out of the kitchen. The lights are dimming.
Yeah, and usually if the turkey's not cooked, I'm cooked. So
The power might go out here in a minute. So
okay.
I did go and buy new gas for my generator this morning.
Good. Well, if you drop out, we'll know what happened to you.
Yeah. The other thing you can do is I cook turkeys on a rack, and I cook the turkey upside down for the first, basically for the first half of the cooking.
Right.
And in finecooking.com, they also suggested that you point the legs toward the back of the oven where it's hotter, because the breast usually cooks faster than the legs and the thighs do. That's interesting.
I had not thought that it'd be hotter in the back. What did they say? Why? I guess because the vent is back there, because it's still venting out a little bit.
Right. I mean, in a convection oven, that would not really apply, but in a little oven like mine, that might be something. There you go. Is there any Thanksgiving etiquette suggestions you have, Rick?
Oh, well, try not to talk politics.
Yeah. I have a cousin that he has a couple of drinks in him, and then he starts, and I'm like, let's just talk about something else,
Yeah, and try to. We like to, of course, this is a Navy town. We usually we didn't do it this year because we didn't think we are going to be in town, but lots of times we'll arrange to go by one of the bases and pick up some. Junior enlisted folks who are living in the barracks, and we'll bring them over and feed them turkey dinner. There's always a sign-up list you can do to do that.
Oh, that's great.
So that they kind of have a home experience.
Yeah, that's the least you can do for our armed services. Yeah.
Yeah. When we were stationed at the Naval Academy, it was a really big thing, and we'd have all these young midshipmen over, and it was always a lot of fun.
Cool. Yeah, my neighbors actually teach at a boarding school, and so they always have a lot of the kids from the boarding school come over. So it's like this giant family.
And of course, it might be a little late today, but you need to think about helping out those folks who aren't doing so well this year, and that particularly means taking care of the food banks.
Yeah, canned food. I just saw a post somewhere about the best foods to donate to a food drive. It looked like dried pastas, canned goods, things like that. Not real esoteric stuff.
Right. And but sometimes a little bit of the holiday stuff. Some cans of cranberry sauce and some gravy and whatnot. Instant potatoes. Things that would kind of make it a little more holiday-ish for those folks. And during the summer and spring, excuse me, I had to cough.
Oh.
During the summer and spring, there are a lot of food banks that encourage you to grow a row for the food bank, and grow a row of corn, grow a row of peas, grow a row of beets, grow a row of cabbages, kale for the food bank. And I think it's a terrific idea. Oh,
that is brilliant. Very smart. You can also do it. New York City has a coat drive, so we will donate to the coat drive.
How do you prepare a coat?
You basically, we buy a brand new coat.
Oh, you don't baste it in anything?
No.
No, okay.
All right, cool. Well, I have to go to work now.
Doing what?
I have to work in the cast iron videos.
Okay. Well, if you're interested in learning how to cook a turkey on a Weber grill, on a charcoal grill outdoors, get it out of the kitchen, there's a tutorial on the Garden Fork site. There are some great videos about a lot of the stuff we talked about, plus a lot of holiday-specific videos on the Garden Fork site.
And our recent cast iron cornbread, and also pumpkin cornbread in a cornbread cast iron skillet.
Saw that. That looked terrific.
Yum.
So
And we want to hear from you. What podcasts do you listen to? We have a new email address for the radio show, so don't lose your email. It's called radio@gardenfork.tv. So radio@gardenfork.tv. That'll help me be much more organized.
Okay. Well, you have you and the camera operator have a terrific time tomorrow.
All right, you too, sir. I'll see you.
Scratch the dogs.
Bye.
All right, talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Garden Fork's theme music is used under license from uniquetracks.com.